Okay, so it's recording now. So yeah, just as I was saying, it's a, you know, as far as I'm concerned, and from what Professor Bryant has said, it's a lifelong journey. So it doesn't matter where any of us are on that journey. We're here to support each other and just bring our questions to the group and help out, you know, those that are more advanced, can help the beginners, and yeah, just a relaxed space. So we're thinking we're going to try and do it every first Sunday of the month, I think. Francis is, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. So that everybody just knows that it's here. And obviously, because it's on the weekend, because the lectures are generally on a Friday, and I know many people work, so that they're not always able to attend those live. So yeah, that is what it's about. And I'll let Francis say something now. And I know that you've obviously got some ideas of things, you know, if there's not questions, we can do some review items. So yeah, I'll just be quiet.
So Alice, hello everybody. My name is Francis. I live in, well, that's my husband. I live in Montreal, Canada. And Alice asked if I would be interested in helping her sort of co-lead these community calls, but it really is meant to be just kind of like a group chat, like not super formal or anything like this. And so we're kind of here to mediate and move things along, but you know, it's like an open conversation. We weren't sure how many people were going to be here today and what kind of questions would be brought up. So I had a couple of like little things that prepared that we could look at, but it'll really be according to, you know, where the group goes and how the questions go. And yeah, as if we were kind of all meeting up for a study group in real life, but instead, I mean, this is real life, but on a computer instead of in person. So just as a way for us to keep a little sort of satsang community going beyond just the class, and that way we could come to each other with things, and maybe we could even condense questions if we can't answer them among ourselves, and ask Professor Bryant during lecture time. So that's it. I see already Lance has asked if there's an answer key to the text. I'm guessing you're referring to the Devavani Praveshika that we're studying from. And
you're assuming
I know,
correctly. Yes.
Yes. I know there isn't one, which is why we've been doing exercise review with Joanne for anything that's English to Sanskrit. As I understand, she'll be covering those, but she won't until we're done covering a certain chapter, full chapter with Professor Bryant. And Professor Bryant, again, as far as I understand, had mentioned last class that he would be doing the Sanskrit to English. So in lesson 4, there is a text that's we are supposed to translate to English from the Devanagari. So I believe he will review that, but then the English, I believe that's what I understood from our last session with him. And then Joanne Janaki will review the sentences that we're meant to try to compose from the English.
And also,
and you can correct me if I get any of this wrong, Alice.
No, that's totally correct. He's going to go through the Sanskrit to English, and also Janaki will send out when she's done that class. So when we finish a chapter with Professor Bryant, then she will do her class the following week, and then she will send out the answers for that chapter after that. That's how we're currently doing it. But there is also, for anybody who wants to kind of, is already working on the Sanskrit to English in the 2020 course, which is on the, I'll put the link in the chat in a sec. There is a class where he goes through that, which is really useful. I actually went through that myself this week. So, you know, there's different options. I'm just going to try and find that link now. Yeah, so there's different ways to work through it, but that is how she's going to do it. She's going to, and I think the thing is that I just want to say that several people have asked, hold on, I'll just paste it, about having that key up front, but both Joanne and Professor Bryant really want us to just really try and have a go and, you know, see how we get on with that before working through the answers with someone. So of course it's up to the individual, and Joanne herself actually has said that she didn't work through the exercises until after she finished the course. So, you know, we can all make the decision that is right for us, but that's how it's working at the moment.
Fair enough. I had one other question if no one else has got anything.
Oh, go ahead, then I go.
And then I've got Maria. Yeah, go ahead, Lance. And then I've noted you, Maria.
Okay, so my other question, and this is the one for, you know, since I've studied French, I guess conjugations, and that seems to be easier for me. So lesson 4 seems to be a lot easier, but the sandhi rules ad infinitum, one after another. Does that just eventually get ingrained into you? Because I'm trying to remember how you're going to, you know, you're going to look at this and you have to go check a book and pull it back, etc. I'm just trying to figure out how that's going to work in the long run, because that seems to be the challenge. I mean, there's some that are really simple, that are straightforward, but others like, okay, if this, then if. You got 3 nested ifs before you get to the then statement.
I mean, I'm going to throw that out to those that have got, because I'm a beginner, but I have made a little 2 A4 sides where actually in the class that Professor Bryant led for the Sandhi, I think it was the last class, he kind of condensed everything down into, how many rules did I write down? 17. And
Yeah.
I found really, really helpful, but I'm going to open that to anyone who's got more experience, because yeah, I'm in the same boat, Lance.
Thank you.
Stick in.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
highlighted all the ones he said the last time. I got asterisks beside them all, etc.
Yeah.
And I've got some cheat sheets, but I'm just trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I think it's kind of what you'd expect. It's by repetition and by seeing them over and over again that they start to become, and like you said, there are some that are super straightforward, and happily those show up quite a bit, you know, the lengthening of vowels and things like this. The visargas can get a little tricky, but yeah, it's by just practicing and looking at a verse and trying to, or a text, and trying to break out the individual words and then see how they may have merged together. But it is just by going back and looking at those rules over and over again that some of them will stick, and then some of them you'll just potentially always have to look up because they are just that complex. But yeah, like Alice was saying, and we were, I guess most of us hopefully in that class, Professor Bryant did point out the ones that we're going to run into more, and those are the ones that over time we'll learn to pick out. And then if there's tricky ones, then we'll be like, I should look back at that chapter. It's one of those maybe more complicated ones.
Yeah, because I've been through it twice. I went through, you know, Professor Bryant's class. I asterisked all the ones he did. Then I went back and took the one out of 2020 course, because there's three classes on that. I'm sitting like, okay, how does this eventually fall together? So that's, I was afraid you were going to say that, but that's okay.
Well, I also think going through the exercises, right, they're just going to come up again and again, and by virtue of us going through the exercises through each lesson, we're going to be coming back to that chapter and looking at sandhis every time. So yeah.
You know, another angle on this also is the Antonia Ruppel book, which is a completely different way of looking at Sanskrit. But she treats this kind of as drills. And like if you're in like 5th grade and you're trying to learn, you know, 134 plus 97, whatever, these, you have like worksheets. And so just because you know like what base 10 math is, and you know that 9 plus 1 is 10, that doesn't mean you can do 131 plus 47, you know, whatever. I'm just making this up, like whatever, 5th grade, whenever you learn this in school, you have worksheets and you just do the worksheets, and then or long division, like you do a lot of long division problems, or into university of physics, at whatever level you're at, it's drills. And Antonia Ruppel's book, which you can get, you know, online. I don't have the link here, but it's, you know, LibGen, whatever. And the answers are online too. Like, and she divides it into different chapters. So it's not the same kind of order of things, but just this pure sandhi, like seeing it just as like drills. She has just great drills. And when you do your 50th drill on it, it starts to sink in, because it's not really a conceptual thing to learn, like reading the rules and trying to absorb that. I feel it's more like learning how to do a movement or something. Like you can learn how to do a movement by doing the movement a lot, not by, oh, I have to raise my elbow and then turn my wrist or whatever. I don't know any movement, so I can't come up with an example out of my head. But anyway, that's just one angle on this is the Antonia Ruppel textbook, which is out there. And you have to kind of find the chapters on sandhi. She doesn't have all the sandhi in one chapter because sandhi is a lot, for sure. But then you get the little doses of it. Anyway, that's my angle on it. And then you can feel more comfortable with it, I think.
John, thank you for saying that. Could you please write that name in the chat?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
What I would add is that, I mean, we're learning Sanskrit. I imagine everyone here has a beloved text, and that the reason we're here is maybe you're studying the Yoga Sutra, maybe you're studying the Bhagavad Gita, or, you know, the names of the goddess or the Lord. And it's through those beloved texts that we're going to be using the sandhi, and particularly through memorization and chanting aloud. So it is said that sandhi is a natural change that happens homophonically within the instrument or within the mouth. If we are chanting aloud, and there's many wonderful chanters that you can listen to, then you will, and you do call and response chanting, and you start to memorize, you will begin to feel the sandhi and know the sandhi. It will feel natural, which is what the Indian teachers say. Oh, it's natural, isn't it? If we practice enough memorizing a certain text, then we can experience that. Also, let's say you're studying the Yoga Sutra. Perhaps you've memorized chapter 1. You can recite 10 sutras or 50 sutras. If you have a translation of the sutras that has the sutra without the sandhi, like tapa, swadhyaya, ishvara, pranidhanani, kriya yogaha, and then it has the sandhi, tapa, swadhyaya, yeshvara, pranidhanani, kriya yogaha. So then whenever you encounter something that ends with a, like swadhyaya, and something that begins with I or I, like ishvara, you'll go, oh, wait, it's tapaswadhyayeshvara. And so through memorizing something, we actually have the key is in our own mind, because we think, oh, wait, this is in that sutra, this is in that sutra, this is in that sloka. So I would encourage, you know, each of you as a student to really enjoy your beloved text. Learning grammar isn't necessary to enjoy your beloved text, but learning grammar gives you the key to understand more and more a word by word understanding of the text, and as well keys to chanting it with meaning and with, you know, with beauty. So to just study the grammar like this through this Western academic way, which is very different than how it's studied in India and by small children in India, it's a very abstracted way to come to your beloved text. So I would say start with your beloved text, start with the beloved names or the Yoga Sutra, and simultaneously continue with your grammar, and it will all start to make sense. And of course, practice, practice.
I think that's really beautiful. Thanks, Kiki. That someone shared in the Facebook group, Susan, I don't think she's here. I'm going to put it in the chat in a minute. For the Bhagavad Gita, it was like a verse a day, and I've joined up to the message that comes through once a day, and it just goes through the verse, and you can read the text, the script, and then it there's a recording as well, and it's just like a little bite size, which I find really, I've been really enjoying doing that. So I'm just going to pop that in there for anyone that is interested in that. So
yes, Maria's been patiently waiting.
Now I have two things. First of all, I say, hello, Kiki. Thank you for being here with us. She did a wonderful course for us. I agree. The grammar is very, very dry, difficult to get in love, sometimes with so much at once, even an hour or 2 hours when we have it. It's kind of too much for me at once. So the book that this guy, who I don't know who is he, because only hear the voice but not the face, thank you. That's also very good because he has a little bit more separated. But I agree with the chanting. If we have a book that we like, and I have one or more than one, and it will be more organic, I guess, because as he said, Dr. Bryant said, we cannot have everything. He's thinking about when we finish the book, we have to go over again. Did you hear that last time? So we have to begin again from that one. And I guess so, because accumulate everything is probably for youngers. No, at this point for me. So thank you for your input, Kiki. Beautiful. And then the other question, that was my first one, it was very, very no Sanskrit much. The course of the 2020, I tried to do that, and then after 20 minutes, the video, I don't hear anything. And I'm zero computer person, so I don't know what to do with that. So I
just go back and pick it up where you left off at.
Yeah,
It does it all the time. Yeah, it
again?
keeps erroring out. So just keep an eye on the timer where you're at within the group. And if it drops off at 1 hour and 1 minute, just cancel out, go back, relaunch it, and go back up to 1 hour, 1 minute, and it'll pick up right where you left off.
And I can't remember at what point, but at some point, maybe it's 10, 15 classes in, it sort of switches. I don't know if it's a different platform, and that stops happening. So you've just got to kind of persevere for those first.
Okay. Thank you for the tip. Yeah. I have many that 20 minutes or 30 minutes and then stop. Okay, another one, the same.
So, yeah, and if you hit pause and you hold it and it stays on pause for too long, it also errors out too.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Not enough to have the sandhi issues. Now we also have tech issues.
So the technical issue is not a problem for me. That's what I do for a living. So that's the easy pieces.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
Did anyone else have any questions they wanted to bring? Anyone working through something in particular? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Really quickly, I've just seen that Sylvia's put in the group to paste the Facebook group link again, and I've just seen that Jivani is here. Maybe you could pop that in the chat. Would that be okay? Thank you. Okay, sorry, Francis, carry on.
I'll send out a link because if you have an old link, it's probably expired.
Okay, great.
Sorry, say that again. I missed.
She's sending another link because if we have an old one, it's probably expired.
Thank you so much.
Do you have anything maybe that you're working through in the exercises or anything that you were wondering about in the material we've covered so far?
I have a question from Alex, who's not able to come live tonight. I'm going to pop it in the chat and just have a quick glance over it. Can anyone, I haven't really looked at it. He's just emailed it over. I don't know if that's something. How is
Atmanepada different from Parasmaipada? Yes, I remember Professor Bryant giving us one of them was supposed to be actions for yourself, and then actions for which I think it would be Atmanepada.
That's correct.
Atmanepada.
Yes, I just took Atman, and that's why I came up with self.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think over time that was the old way. That's how it was in the past. And I think over time that is no longer the case. And there are some verbs that can be both. And I learned those as being called. Does it mention uttamapurusa in the text? Yeah. I don't remember.
Pada, yeah.
So there are
it's
some
actually pada. So padaha is chapter, like in Atmanepada, the chapter on samadhi. Pada means word, and it is quite common that some of these words are said not as exactly as they would be said in India. And then in academia, everyone just keeps saying them like Atmanepada. It's actually, as Francis said it, Atmanepada or Parasmaipada. Pada means word, Parasmai means other. Atmane means self. Traditionally, when these were first used, these two forms, and we can see the case endings are separate, they had very distinct meanings and use cases, what was called the middle voice and the personal voice or something, that no longer qualifies. So the speaker, the poet, the author is free to choose which an Atmanepada declension or a Parasmaipada declension as they see fit. So we could say, so it's no longer, there's no longer any restriction to when one is used, Atmane or Parasmai. They can be used interchangeably. And when we see them used, as we're going through our, beloved texts, we see that they're usually chosen for alliteration, because alliteration, say a repetition of the same sounds, is a very important part of Sanskrit poetics. And obviously it makes the recitation very beautiful. So Atmanepada would be like one day Guru Nam Charanara Vinde. So one day I bow. And that would be that. But we could think, well, it's probably chosen because Vande Guru Nam Charanara Vinde, we hear that beautiful alliterative poetry, and it helps us memorize, and it's beautiful and very evocative. So there are no restrictions when they're used. It would probably be for prosody to have the right rhythm within the line, as well as alliteration and other poetics would be a consideration.
I'll just also add that in classical Sanskrit, it's primarily Parasmaipada. That I mean, not to say Atmanepada is not used, but it seems to be much more popular to use the Parasmaipada.
Great. Thank you so much, Kiki. That was really wonderful to have that, to hear that elaboration on the distinction between the two. And so, yeah, I don't know, are people still kind of working through the exercises? Have people been doing them progressively? And yeah, is anyone running into any speed bumps or obstacles?
Yes, I'm trying to translate the reading that we have on page 75, and that's quite tough. I find it quite tough, just because the way the phrases are built is so different from English or even from Italian, so I find it quite challenging. And then the exercises on page 74, that too is quite still work in progress. Yeah.
Oh yes, the sentences.
The sentence. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does quite generously draw from many of the sentences that he shared within the chapter. So even though it's a drag to keep going back,
I'm going back actually. Yeah.
Yes, but they are there. So what I did was I wrote down every Sanskrit vocabulary, every Sanskrit phrase that he shared, and then I just have them in my notes and I can just see them more quickly without going back and forth through the text or, you know, squinting at this text. So he's pretty generous. It is within the text, and it just requires some patience and, as Alice would suggest, a nice cup of chai.
And everybody is also aware, because I had a friend write to me confused or telling me she was having difficulty finding some of the words. And I was like, you know, there's a glossary in the back of all the words, right? And then she was like, oh, I hadn't seen that.
To find it.
Yes.
So my body.
So there is a glossary at the end. There was only one word that I had to look up that I'm not even sure we'll see when we go over the exercises with Joanne, but I feel like there was a sentence that had though in it, and I looked up what the English a Sanskrit translation for though would be. So that was the only vocabulary word I found I had to look up.
I have a quick question about the glossary.
Yes,
since you mentioned, so I'm want it to be alphabetical, and I'm finding I don't see the logic in the glossary because it's taking all over the place. So I'm just wondering if does somebody understand?
It's alphabetical according to the Sanskrit alphabet. So e u a I o ow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Which is probably for the best, because if we're using a Monier-Williams dictionary or any of the online dictionaries, then we're just going to have to get used to that. So
another thing that I found helpful with just kind of going over the reading, it was suggested to just say it out loud, read it out loud. And as you were saying, you may be able to feel some of the sandhis as you do that. And then certain sandhis will kind of jump out as you begin to recognize them. So when you see an O at the end of a word, then you really think about, well, there's probably a visarga there, and you'll start to recognize those. But the first thing I do is just write it all out and then find all the sandhis. And that, you know, is great practice. And sometimes you do have to keep flipping back and forth. But over time, I don't know, they just do become a little bit more recognizable. Some of the more obscure ones, not so much. And there was one sentence in the reading where the sandhis were really a challenge. And once you found those, then it was like, oh, right, that's, you know, fifth case. And anyway, it was, I just find doing the sandhis first and also reading it aloud, you can start to hear some patterns. Like you may hear that there are several words that may be in the second case, and then you can just kind of start to get a sense of what's being said. So just take some time with it and read through it aloud. I find to be really helpful as well.
A question: how do you distinguish a verb in, let's say, in the page that she says 75? I just look at it and I say, no, I cannot do that. But how in that first line, how do you recognize the verb?
I would recognize it. You would look for the ending, and then that's going to give you a sense, right, of whether you're looking at a sandhi, a verb ending, well, basically, yeah, or a declension or a different ending for a noun.
Can you identify one in the first line, in the 75 page?
It's asti.
It's asti.
Asti.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at 420,
For
his exercise, what page is that? 53. He will share that. But so you can see, if you look at exercise 420, we can see ti, taha, anti, si, taha, ta, mi, waha, maha. So you can look for those. And so with asti, we see the T. I also think that he does decline the entire asti here. We can look at vadati,
424.
vadataha, 424, thank you. So 424,
I mean, to asti, to
yes, you can see asti, staha, santi, asi, staha, sta, asmi, swaha, smaha. So that is the I am, we are, you are, he, she, they are.
Linda has a question. I want to make sure that.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Yes, I had a question about the alphabetization. I don't know what it is in Sanskrit. Remembering that the vowels are first, e, u, that's fine. And what comes after that?
Yeah, we'd have to chant the alphabet. That was one of the things I wondered if people might be interested in doing at the beginning.
Yes.
Do we want here?
Yes.
I don't know if you can see
Yes.
my word.
Definitely, because I can't look anything up without knowing where to look for it.
I got an alphabet in here somewhere. Let's see. Well, can you see this?
More or less, yes. Now, where do you find them done that way, in that order?
I just shared a document in the chat that you can download, and you'll be very closely looking at what Francis is sharing here.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the same as at the very beginning of chapter 2, basically?
Yes, but certainly what Francis has here and whatever I've included is a little more legible and bright and clear than the grammar, text, which is quite small. Also, the Devanagari, now, like, this book is from the 80s, right? And so the Devanagari, just our printing and our text and our digital printing, we can get much better legibility on the Devanagari than he has in here. But that's not to say this isn't excellent. It is. But looking at this beautiful chart, it's certainly more pleasant.
I think you'll find when you look up Devanagari alphabets, at least in my experience, they often kind of look like they have this sort of a setup. The coloring is something that I learned when I did my course through the American Sanskrit Institute. And this tends to be the order and the grouping, again, from my experience.
And what does the color means? I love it. I love it because it's colorful, it's easier. But no, I have one from another book, which is a chanting book. It has exactly the same thing.
The same colors. Oh, wonderful.
I wonder what the colors mean, because I have some. I tried to find it.
And Marge, you can help me if I make mistakes. Marge was in my training. So we have all of the vowels, the simple vowels, in black at the top. E, u. We'll chant them together after. And then we have the diphthongs, or the complex vowels, according to the blue are the guna, and the purple are the vridhi. I learned about guna and vridhi. These are special sounds that come only with vowels, the ang, or the anusvara, and the aha, and the visarga. And the dot here is above is green, because the nasals are green. So it represents the nasalization of the vowel. And this is in orange because this column is an aspirated, these are aspirated consonants. So this is just representing the aspiration or the extra breath that you get from ah when you say your visarga, or aha if you pronounce it that way with the echoed vowel afterwards.
It's
Yeah.
also hard. It's also non-voiced, the visarga.
Non-voiced.
Hard.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's why. Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
Marge. And it's
Yeah.
also non-voiced, which is why it's the orange. And that'll make more sense when I go through these. Because the pink are the hard, so unvoiced, unaspirated sounds. So just like in the chart that I forget, I don't know who that was. Was it John who said like in our book, or Lance? Is there even a John in here?
Yeah,
Lance.
beginning chapter.
They're
Yeah, so
aghosha,
yes.
without voice.
Oh, I was wondering how to say that in Sanskrit. How is it?
Ghosha is voice. Aghosha is unvoiced.
Right.
Saghosha is with voice. So we have
Saghosha.
aghosha, and then we have aghosha mahaprana.
Mm-hmm.
So ka has no prana, ka has prana, has that aspiration.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I didn't know what those terms were in Sanskrit.
Yeah, sure.
So
Goldman
these
should
are
give them, quite honestly, Goldman should give them. That's a little quirky.
Mm-hmm.
so unvoiced gosha, you said, is that it?
Aghosha.
Gosha. And then this one's
Aghosha,
gosha.
no voice, without voice, like himsa,
So
ahimsa. So
great.
yeah.
So this is agosha and this is alpa prana because it's got no voice or no voice.
No,
and then this
no
would
prana,
no
no
voice, no
puff,
prana.
no aspiration.
And then this one would be gosha then, is that? Or sa gosha, you said.
This is still aghosha.
Oh, that's true.
But it's
That's right.
mahaprana.
That's true. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No,
So yeah,
I don't want to confuse anyone.
exactly. That's perfect. So this is going to also be unvoiced, agosha, but this will have mahaprana. So this has the aspirate. So this has more breath. And then this one is where we'll get the voicing, or voiced, and how it was voiced. Sa gosha. And then this one is alpa prana, so no aspiration. And then this one is sagosha mahaprana with the breath. And then these are nasals. So that's what the colors represent. Basically that plus, that minus V minus A minus V plus A in the chart is represented by the colors. Does that make sense, Maria? And then and then these, they're in an aqua color. These are semi-vowels. They're all derived from our simple vowels. And then this sort of darker orange color are the sibilants. And these ones, okay, and when we're going into voiced and unvoiced, so we know the semi-vowels are voiced, the sibilants are unvoiced. And then we have ha, which maybe Kiki, you could speak to this because we had learned it as voiced, but Goldman has it as unvoiced. Right, Marge? We learned it as voiced, did we not? The ha?
Yeah. Yes.
It's often taught with the sibilants. The sibilants are like ushna, they're heating. It's like steam coming from the pot. So sh, like sh, sa, ha. So it has an aspirated quality. I learned it as unvoiced. I also did Vyas Houston's wonderful course many years ago, the American Sanskrit Institute. But I don't think we necessarily need to, I don't think there's any rules that are going to relate to whether that is unvoiced or voiced. So I don't think it technically at the moment, it doesn't matter if it's voiced or if it's categorized which way, rather that it's, we just know how to pronounce it and recognize it. And so it comes there at the end with those heated up sounds.
But it is important to understand what it means to be voiced or unvoiced. A voiced sound uses the vocal cords, and an unvoiced sound does not engage the vocal cords. So, for example, puh. Well, I mean, obviously the sound has the voice sound, but if I just make the p sound, there's no voice involved. There's no vocal cords. Whereas if I make the sound b, I'm using my vocal cords in order to make that sound. So that is the difference between voiced and unvoiced. And the sibilants, it's s, sh, sh. None of them use the voice, the vocal cords. It's all just air sounds.
Yeah, when I teach this, you can put your hand on your throat and just try making only the p, and then instead of moving from p to b, if you go b, 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 you can feel how it vibrates more. B, b, maybe that, do people feel the difference? Or if you do k sound and you have your hand on your throat versus doing g, 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 how one of them vibrates and the other one doesn't.
The way I would clarify it is that ka is a mechanical sound. And so I just have the mechanics of my throat, and it would, if I were to make the very first sound that I could make with some part of my throat touching another part of my throat, which is a consonant, I would get ka. So that would be a mechanical sound. Ka, ka. If I want to voice the sound, I'm going to bring some muscle to it. I'm going to take ka, but I'm going to lean in. Ga. Ka, mechanical, unvoiced. Ga, voiced, muscular, massaging in. Ka, ka, ga, ga, nga. Cha, cha. I'm going to lean into cha, and I'm going to get ja. I'm leaning in, I'm adding muscle, and it's voiced. All of those consonants use the vocal cords. We can't speak without our vocal cords. So it's not a distinction between voiced and unvoiced that there's no vocal cord. It's just a more mechanical sound. And then the other one, we're leaning in with some musculature.
I actually beg to differ on that. And anyone who's
okay.
will know the difference, because this isn't something that's unique to Sanskrit. It's actually, it's universal. It's a language in general. And, you know, one way you can test it is, can you sing it? Right? Not the vowel, but the consonant itself. So in the example that you were giving, like ka versus g, you know, I can't sing a K sound. There's no pitch to it. I can sing a g sound. I can change the pitch. So that means that the g is voiced and the k is unvoiced.
Okay. Good.
I think these are all great. These are all great tips, and I think whatever resonates for people the most, like whatever you found made you grab onto that idea or that concept a little bit more, will be, because I think they're all valid ways of viewing
it's how it was explained, taught to me. And so this is how also it's been taught to her. So yes, it all has its place.
And let me just say, I'm hoping, Frances, we're gonna chant this, but
I was going to.
Yeah, it's a wonderful exercise to just memorize this and use it when you're on a walk or whatever. And it is a way then, when you go into the dictionary, I mean, I'm always finding myself chanting, you know, looking up a word begins with a semivowel, and I'm going yada va, va, to just try to find it in the dictionary, and you'll just start chanting it, and it's a wonderful way to begin to use the dictionary. So Frances, take it away.
Let's do
All
it. Let's
right.
do it.
Okay, so this is my plan. If everybody is on board, and I hope everybody is I'm going to do kind of a line by line situation, and then call on people so that they respond. Is that okay? Ooh, people are a little freaked out. But it's a way for us to all get some practice in, and to practice vocalizing the sounds ourselves. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Marge. Thanks for the support. So we'll start vowels, and this is the melody that we learned when I was taught. So e u. Alice?
E u.
A I O ow. Maria?
A ow. A ow o ow. No.
A I O ow. Okay, again.
A I O ow. Kind of.
Oh, it's good. Okay, Marge, I'm going to give you 2 easies and 2 hards, okay? R, ri, lir.
Ri, lir.
Okay. We got next. All right. This one, the melody goes through twice. So I'm going to sing it twice for the consonants here. This is the kantia, the first position. Ka, ka, ga, ga, nga. Ka, ka, ga, ga, nga. Aura. Is that right? Or aura? I'm not sure. Ah, okay.
Ka, ka, ga, ga, nya. Ka, ka, ga, ga, nya.
Okay, so this one is nga.
Nya.
Nga.
Nya.
So if you say sing,
Sing.
that
Nya.
last sound, nga. There you go. Because you want to make sure that it doesn't sound too much like this one, which is nya. So
Nya. Nya.
yeah, well, let's do it again. Yeah, so listen first. Ka, ka, ga, ga, nga. Ka, ka, ga, ga, nga.
Ka, ka, ga, ga, nga. Ka, ka, ga, ga, nga.
Nice.
Thank you.
And then we have, thank you. And we have ta, love ya, the second mouth position. And it goes cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. Cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. We're at Lance on my screen.
Oh, good. we won't test my tone. Okay, let's just cha cha ja ja nya. Cha cha ja ja nya.
Excellent for the sounds. The aspiration's kind of tough. Yeah. So for cha, for this one, you want to put an extra breath in between, and you'll say cha.
Okay. Cha.
Ha, yeah. And then for this one, you put extra breath and you go ja.
Ja. Ja.
Yeah. So what you can do is say cha ha, cha ha, cha ha, and then eventually take out the little sound in between and becomes cha.
Cha.
And the same with ja. You could go ja ha, and then eventually, yes, go ja. Jha.
Ta.
Ha.
Ta.
Excellent. Ooh, we got a third mouth position. This is fun. Murdhanya. Because this we don't have in our language, and it's curling the tip of your tongue into the top of your mouth. So it sounds like this. Da ta da dha na. Da ta da dha na. I'm at Federico.
I somehow felt that it's coming from here. Anyway, ta ta da da na. Ta ta da da na.
Yeah, it's a toughie. So just basically pronouncing what we would think of those sounds in our language, but pulling the tongue back. And so this is one of the things that just takes practice, making the same sound that we're used to, but putting it a different place in our mouth.
And what I found out throughout weeks, actually, that one should not strive to put it too much up the tongue. I mean, because it's really counterproductive.
I was taught that it's the highest part of the mouth where the soft palate and the hard palate meet. Maybe that's too technical, but if you just kind of play around with the tip of your tongue up there, where there's soft and then it becomes hard. Yeah, that's around where you want to put your tongue. I had another teacher do this trick where you bite your finger and then you try to say it. Da ta da da na.
Oh, that's
because your tongue will avoid your finger.
Yeah, that's a very good trick. Yeah, cool. Oh. Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, these ones are a little more familiar. So this is your dantia, your teeth. Da ta da da na. Da ta da da na. And the next person I see with their image on is Sylvia.
Ta ta da da na. Da ta da da na. Sorry.
No, that's great. So similar to Lance, I would work on putting more breath. If you can say ha,
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 ta,
ha,
ta,
and dha,
ta,
dha, dha.
Ha.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Ostia. So lips. Pa, pa, ba, ba, ma. Pa, pa, ba, ba, ma. Kiki.
Pa, pa, ba, pa, ma. Pa, pa, ba, pa, ma.
Lovely. And then we have the semi-vowels. Yara, lava. Yara, lava. Joshua. Oh, I think you're muted. Have you been singing by yourself?
Yeah, I've just been practicing, you know. No, I'm not sure I heard the melody, but I think Yara lava, Yara lava. I'm not sure if that was the right melody or not. But...
That's perfect. I have a teacher who likes to say, to remember this, you can think of "you're a lover." Yara lava, yara lava. That's her joke. So it's a monotonous joke. You can take it or leave it. And then this last line, well, I'll pronounce it and we can talk about distinguishing between the two sounds if we like afterwards. But we have sha, sha, sa, ha, sha, sha, sa, ha. And that's sky.
Okay. So sh, sa, ha. Sh, sa, ha.
Yay, excellent.
Francis,
All right. Yes.
could you, Francis, can you please, like, I don't know how to do to make a difference between the pa and the ba. Like, it gets very confused. Like, it ended up being like pa, my ba. So can you see if you can give like a little tip into how to make the distinction between those two?
Just to be sure that I'm understanding your question, are you talking about adding the breath? Are you talking about adding the voice?
Adding the breath into the two non-voice and voice.
Yeah, so it was the trick that I was giving Lance. You can insert a sound in the middle. So if you're doing pa, you could do ha ha, ha ha, ha ha, and then shorten it, and then eventually take that first sound out, so it just becomes pa, pa. So from pa ha, you will eventually go pa pa pa, and just take out that first. It is it's not something that we're used to doing, adding the breath. Often what ends up happening in my experience is people add it on at the end and they say pa, and they try to put the breath there, but it needs to come between the consonant sound and the vowel sound. So it would be pa, pa. Yeah.
Can I also share something?
Yeah, go ahead, Josh. No, go ahead.
Just on this topic, I think that my understanding is for English speakers, right? We're okay with aspirating the non-voice sounds, and we tend to actually do that anyway, you know? But it's the voiced sounds where we run into trouble, really. One way, somebody showed me once, maybe everybody knows this, so it might not be such a novel thing, but one way to practice it is just with a piece of paper, you know? Pa, ha. You see what I mean?
That's great.
Like when you aspirate it, like exaggerate it, of course. I mean, you don't exaggerate it, right, when you speak it normally, but if you exaggerate it and the aspiration, the paper will go like that. Ha, ha. You know what I mean? So you can see with your eyes and feel at the same time what the difference is between aspirated and non-aspirated.
Yeah, we also learned by using your hand, you could do it in front of your hand and feel the breath. So if you do just the pa without the aspiration, you'll be able to do a lot of them. Ba, 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 ba. But if you add the breath, you'll maybe be able to do like 3 or 4. Pa, 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 because it takes that much more breath to pronounce. So that's great. That's a great tip, Joshua. I just wanted to also like point out for the sha and the sha, but you know, you could use the biting the finger trick, but that first sha sound is in the second mouth position, and this one's in the third. So they are different, even though they're very similar, and we only have the one sort of sound comparable in our language. Sha in the second mouth position can help to smile and say sha. And then when you're doing it in the third mouth position, it's that in the mouth sha. So sha, 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 sha. Yeah, it might not be able, to be able to distinguish the sound so much when you just hear it, but in the pronunciation of it.
And also with those sibilants, it's kind of where you're directing the breath to the second mouth position, to the third mouth position, and to the fourth mouth position. And so if you have that kind of in your head too and feel it, you can feel it in your palate on all those. And that's why it's so wonderful to chant through the alphabet and just feel all the vibration in your mouth. It really brings it, just right to the forefront.
Now, Francis, I'm sorry, but I have another request. Is it possible that you chant the whole alphabet one time so I can record it in my voice memo and then I can repeat it?
so much pressure.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So everyone can, everyone can mute, and you can, I'll do it twice, and that way you can chant along. Yeah? Okay. Didn't know that I was going to have to be singing so much. Ready? Ah, ah, ee, ooh, ooh. Ah, ah, ee, ooh, ooh. A, I, O, ow, ah, or aha. A, I, O, ow, aha. R, ri, lr. Oh, I don't know if oh, yes. R, ri, lr. Ka, ka, ga, ga, nga. 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 Cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. 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 Da, ta, da, da, na. 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 Ba, pa, ba, ba, ma. 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 Yada, lava. Yada, lava. Yada, lava. Yada, lava. Sha, sha, saha. Sha, sha, saha. Sha, sha, saha. Sha, sha, saha.
Thank you so much. You are immortalized in my phone.
Oh, goodness.
Bravo.
Thanks, everybody. I know it's 3:04, so if you need to head out, you can head out, but I did make a little quiz if you're interested in doing a fun little quiz.
Yes.
And this is my first time. Sorry, go ahead.
I
What was
had
the
one
question?
thing I wanted to add that
Yes,
may
Kiki.
be helpful. So the word Krishna, the Lord, Krishna, the R, the Sh, and the Na are all retroflexive. They're all murdanya. So they're done in this area of the mouth. And so if we think when we have the Sh, as in Ashtanga Yoga, Rishikesh, Krishna, then that's where we're going to be, Krishna. Shiva, the other Sha for Shiva, is at the front here. So it could be helpful to think, oh, is it the Shiva or is it the Krishna? The retroflex sounds in the Roman transliteration all have a dot under them. So if we were to look at the Roman alphabet and we were to see Krishna, we would see the Roman R with a dot under it, a Roman S with a dot under it, a Roman N with a dot under it. And that's a sign that we're turning the tongue back retroflexively. And, you know, it's on the top of the mouth, the murdanya, and we're saying Krishna. And then one other insight that I wanted to give is generally in our own language, and I know for sure in English, we actually aspirate. We do maha prana almost all the time. So if I said king, king, you can hear king. I've aspirated it. If I say, you know, tummy, oh, I have a tummy ache, tummy, I've aspirated it. Tongue, I've aspirated it. You know, pretty, I've aspirated it. So chances are we are already aspirating, and it's the unaspirated that is more difficult. And like with the paper exercise, what we really want to do, it would be like putting a, you know, like putting a handkerchief in the trumpet. We're muting the sound. And so it would be ba. I'm making an extra effort to have no aspiration on ba. And it's why they have that little spit screen in front of a microphone for popping P's, because we automatically do pop and aspirate. So I think as an exercise for oneself is to just have no aspiration, ka, and then aspirate, ka. And we do tend to aspirate. So if you sort of listen to yourself talking over the rest of the day, talking, you'll hear that we do tend to aspirate. We just need to make that distinction for ourselves when we start to use the language, and then our ear will start to hear the distinction, and we'll train those up at the same time.
I mean, right, did you see how when I did the paper thing, it was so difficult for me to avoid aspirating the P? I had to really try hard not to aspirate. So we think, oh, the hard part is aspirating, but sometimes actually we always are aspirating, so we have to learn not to aspirate the P, you know?
Okay, well, I think actually this is good. I think we'll leave it like this for today so that we make sure that everybody gets to, you know, the time you set aside for our time together is as respected as much as
no, everybody chant. You left 2 persons no calling in case they want
not
to
everybody not everybody chanted. Would you like to chant? We have 2.
I did, but Elizabeth and Andrea didn't, in case that they are going to be offended.
Elizabeth and Andrea, make your
unless they don't want it, but cannot leave some part of the group out.
Did you want to chant? And if people need to go, I completely understand. Yeah, I didn't want to go too much over. Hi, Linda. Did you want to chant, Elizabeth, Andrea? I'm happy to do it.
No, I don't.
Or if you have specific sounds you want to clarify.
I would have loved to have caught on my phone. I thought you were going to do the whole thing twice. And I was like, okay, I'll get it the second go round. And then it's like, oh,
I was doing each line twice. Maybe Aura, maybe you can
if you want to, I can send it to you to your email or to your phone, Elizabeth, because I did record it.
And obviously this call is recorded, so we'll put it up.
Well, that's true.
Record it several times, maybe.
Yeah.
And if you want, Alice, I can send it to you as well, the recording alone in a separate email, and then if you want to share it with everyone.
Yeah, if anybody would like that. I can see Francis like,
I'm sorry, Francis.
No, it's fine.
Recording up anyway, and then people can. Thanks, Kiki. Thank you for being here. But I just wanted to ask you, Francis, because when I put you on speaker to look at your lovely chart in the background, I saw your T-shirt.
Oh yes, this is my T-shirt that I got. It's a bunch of students who got it for me, and then I realized it's a Professor Bryant T-shirt. Don't be afraid of the Sanskritam.
I love it.
I thought it would be perfect for today.
Yeah,
so I wore. Thank you for noticing.
It did not go on this. As soon as I put you on the big screen, I was like, oh my goodness, you've got that T-shirt. So I think people are going to be asking.
Yeah, we
Oh,
need,
good.
yeah.
Get some of
I want
Professor
that.
Bryant's merch out there. Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you very much for offering this
Thank
time
you.
to everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for
Thank you.
contributing and for participating.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You.
Francis,
thank
do
you,
you
Ali.
want to stay on for a moment, just so I can say.
Sure.
But thank you, everyone. And we'll do it again. Well, first Sunday of the month, I think, at the moment. We'll try and stick to that. And then, yeah, just it's been lovely. It's been really nice. So thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for all the inputs, everybody. Bye.